Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper, and on this channel here we talk about skincare, hair care, and all those sort of things that are supposed to make you look good for a really long time. And today we are going to talk a little bit about anti-aging, but we are going to talk about it in a sort of like in a special way, because this channel here basically evolves about anti-aging as such, but some of the things that we are talking about basically comes from that I'm trying to help my husband who has myotonic dystrophy, and that is basically a condition that causes your body to be not that great at maintaining itself as it gets older. And that means that some of the things that we are doing is basically to try and make him stay as biologically aging as if he was only 30 years of age, because he has what is called the adult onset type of myotonic dystrophy, so it's type 1. And that means that after the age of 30, when for all of us it happens so that when you get more than to 30 years of age, when above there, then your body is not that good at maintaining itself. And that means that if your body already is not very good at that, then it becomes obvious when you turn about 30 years of age. So a lot of the things that we are doing for him, we are also doing for me, because I figured out that obviously if I can make him stay younger than other people at the same age with that condition or in general, then also it would sort of like help me. So we have spoken about something like quercetin before, and we have spoken about Q10, and we have spoken about a lot of things, but today I thought I would say a little bit about what we are doing in order to combat the issue with the myotonic dystrophy type 1. So if you have that condition, which is a genetic condition, then you definitely would like to know what I will be saying in this video here, because it's not something that is super complicated. It's actually relatively simple, but I know that on this channel here we are doing a lot of supplements and that sort of thing. But I would say today I would just talk about some of those supplements that I would say are the most important for that condition. Now, you cannot sort of like cure the condition, but what you can do is that you can sort of like do something that can make the issue with the condition sort of like almost sort of like go away. So what we are talking about today is something like a quercetin and how that goes in and it works on the DNA level. So you might have heard that if you have a myotonic dystrophy, that you might be looking into scholarly articles, you might be looking into the latest science and that sort of thing. And there will be a lot of companies out there that are working on something like trying to silence the DNA, or they might be trying to do something with this RNA that is the product of the DNA. So there comes what they call a toxic RNA, and that is basically what is the problem. So some of them, they're using something called antisense and that sort of thing, and that means that basically they have a molecule that will sort of like attach itself to most likely the messenger RNA, and that means that that messenger RNA will be sort of like destroyed by the body, because the body will recognize that something is wrong, because this thing shouldn't attach itself to the messenger RNA, and therefore the body will degrade it. And that means that this toxic messenger RNA will sort of like go away, and then you don't have the problem. The problem basically is that if you have your DNA, then for a normal person, so for someone like me, then you have a gene called DMPK, and that is basically this myotonic dystrophy gene, or it is the gene wherein there is a fault, and that means that at the end of the coding sequence of the DNA, then there is a little sequence, and that should be there, but this sequence here is repeated too many times, and that means that you get a long area in the messenger RNA, which is the product from the DNA, and that messenger RNA, then when they will then call it a toxic. And that is basically because what it does is that it catches something like, or they like to say sequester, but basically it catches something called MBNLs. And MBNLs, they are used by the body in order to make sure that your messenger RNA looks as it should look in order to be able to produce proteins. So if you have a messenger RNA that is catching these MBNLs, there is a 1 and then there is a 2 as well. And that means that if you don't have enough of them, because they will be degraded when the body realizes something is wrong, it will just take the whole messenger RNA with all the sequestered MBNLs away, and they will destroy it. And that means that you are left with not having enough MBNLs in your body. And that is really problematic, because MBNLs, they are used by the body in order to do something that is called alternative splicing. And that is basically when you have your DNA, then the body will produce something called free mRNA, and that is the transcript RNA, and that is basically something that has something called introns and it has exons. So you basically like to have all these introns taken away, and then you want the exons to be put correctly together. And when they are to be put correctly together, then that is where the body needs these MBNLs in order to make sure that that happens correctly. So obviously, if you don't have enough of these MBNLs in your body, then you will have a big problem. And visibly, that is so that for my husband, then he has difficulties walking, and he has difficulties with sort of like swallowing issues, and he has what they call myotonic or myotonia, and that means that if you are squeezing your hands, you will have a difficulty opening again. It will be very slowly, and that means like when you notice it the first time, it might be that when you're saying hello to someone and you're giving your hand and you have difficulties releasing it, it's a bit awkward, and in the beginning you don't know what it is either, because you might not have been diagnosed yet, and the other person just thinks, well, just release my hand. So some of these sort of like minor things, but it's just like that is maybe when you start to notice it. So in our case, it was sort of like we noticed that he had a swallowing difficulty. So basically when you are eating something, then just before your stomach there is something called a sphincter muscle, and that is what causes you to keep in your food in your stomach. But it also means that if that is really tight, or it goes into a cramp, then when you're eating something, then the food that you're eating will be getting stuck in your esophagus. And that is really unpleasant, because you will still continue to produce a saliva and that sort of thing, and you're trying to swallow it, and then it feels like you are basically drowning from within. So that is sort of like a problematic. So the reason for this video here is that, as I would like to tell you, if you have this condition, that there are actually something you can do, and which is backed by science. So what I do here on this channel here is about talking about things that I have tried on my own body, and which is backed up by scholarly articles, so backed up by actual true science. So today when we are talking about something like a quercetin, then how does that actually work if you have a myotonic dystrophy? Well, the thing is that something like a quercetin, it actually attaches itself to the DNA where this prolonged sequence is. So where you have this problematic long sequence of something nucleotide, so it's a CUG when you're talking about the RNA, but it is CTG when you're talking about the DNA. And that means that this quercetin actually goes in and it binds itself where you have the sequence that is a CTG, and that means that you will not have this toxic messenger RNA produced, and that obviously means that you will have more MBNLs available in your body. And I will link to some scholarly articles so you can read about it yourself. But the point here is that when we noticed that something was happening, then I would say that was in the beginning of the year, or sort of like in that over the summer. And that means that we started to see that my husband, he was able to walk quicker, he was more stable and that sort of thing. He's not walking completely normal, that's not what I'm saying, but definitely there is quite some strong improvement. And actually I'm thinking that as how it is going at the moment, I would say that I hope that we in the summer can start to sort of like be jogging a little bit, so light running and that sort of thing. And actually we were out the other day, and he just did a little bit of some running just to see if he could sort of like get the movement back, because and he could. And the thing is that obviously you would not have your condition would not be very good, so you won't be able to run a lot if you haven't been running for quite some years at some point as it is now. But the thing is now that we can see that he can actually start to move his legs and feet again as they are supposed to be moving, because some of the thing is also that we've noticed is that it feels like he has forgotten how to actually use various muscles. But the thing is actually when we are taking quercetin and then also something like a Q10, I will talk a little bit about a Q10 later, how that actually helps with this condition that is myotonic dystrophy type 1. And that is basically that when you're using your muscles, then they can be a little bit tight, and if they are not able to work completely as they should, then they will sort of like be restricted, and that will give you a sort of like a walking that looks a bit odd. It might be more like instead of you're using your feet and you're using your calf muscles and that sort of thing in the correct way, you might be more like look like you're walking on a stair or something like that. So you're sort of like even that you're walking flat out, then you are sort of like you look like you are walking on steps basically, so on a ladder or something like that, and that looks a bit odd. But it also means that it's very difficult to walk that way, so you will be very much out of breath very quickly, because it's very it's an exercise basically that is a lot worse than if you were just walking normally. So it means that if you can move your muscles in the correct way, you will be less tired when you are out walking, and you can walk for a longer distance. Now the thing is that this quercetin, when it goes in and binds itself to that area in the DNA, and you don't get this toxic RNA afterwards, then obviously there are restrictions as to how much you can take up in your body, and we have spoken about that before. And one of the things that we are doing, and that is to take it in hot water, but also using something called propylene glycol, and you just need a little bit of it, and I've spoken about that in another video, you can see. But there are a limit to how much you can take per day, so you just need a little bit of that, and then you can dissolve the quercetin in that, and after that you would take a little bit of oil, and we use olive oil, and then and that's because this quercetin is not soluble in water, so you have to have some fat or some oil, so we use olive oil. And when you have done that, then you would like to dilute it, or sort of like dissolve it a bit more, and you would like to add some water, but you can't just really do that because oil and water won't mix, and that's why we have talking about something like lecithin. And lecithin, that is basically something that goes in and combine itself to oil and water, so it actually makes oil and water mix. And it also means that in this case here, you have the oil solution with the quercetin in it, and then you warm it up, and then you can add this lecithin, and you can add the water afterwards. And that means that you have these lecithin molecules widely distributed in this solution, and that means that it will be a lot easier for your body to take it up, because otherwise it's really difficult for your body to take it up. So after having done that, then definitely we have seen some improvement. But about Q10, that is something we have been looking into, taking for a long time, but lately I have actually thought that maybe I could use the same method of diluting it in propylene glycol and then in a little bit of oil, and then basically add it together with the quercetin. So I've spoken before about just warming up Q10 in my cup of tea as I do during the day, and that helps quite a lot compared to just taking it as a powder, because Q10 is really difficult for the body to take up, because all the molecules, they stick together, so really difficult for the body. But if you heat it up in your tea, then you have this sort of like oily blob on top, and you could just drink that. But what is even a lot better, and that have we definitely seen here lately, that is to take it together with the quercetin, and then use the lecithin, so that you both have quercetin and you have Q10, and that will be completely distributed in this solution, and then when you drink it, you get a lot more out of it. And definitely I would say that that had helped quite a lot, and I'm rather optimistic about how things will actually progress. And as I'm taking the other part of what he's not drinking, so basically I make a portion for two people. I take one part and he takes the other, and that means that what I have seen on my skin is that I've seen that my my cheeks and this the jawline area here has definitely become a lot more plump, and it's not like it was completely deflated before and that and looked horrible, because you can see that on my videos that it sort of like looked like this before as well. But when I look closer up, I can definitely see that my skin is a lot more sort of like bouncy and plump. And if you wonder how old I am, then I can say that I have just turned 49, so I will be looking into going into being 50 next time. So yes, I definitely think that these supplements that I've spoken about today, and that is Quercetin and Q10, and I will show you a little short video in the end where I can show you exactly what I do and how many times I do it during the day. So basically I take it in the morning, I take it in the afternoon, and I take it in the evening, and I will show you just how I mix these things and how much I am taking, or we are taking, and definitely it has helped. And I will show you some articles that both describe how quercetin is working with myotonic dystrophy type 1, and also how myotonic dystrophy type 1 is being helped by something like a Q10, simply because it is working very much on the muscles and is producing something called cyclic AMP and that sort of thing. And that is an energy form in the body that the muscles need and that sort of thing. And also Q10 helps producing something called ATP, which is sort of like the main energy form in the body. But I will link to some articles so you can read a little bit more about it yourself. So yes, thank you for watching, and if you like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and do all the things you do in order to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.